Welcome back to Daily Iowan Football Forum. I'm Tony Battaglia with Ryan Young and Scott Miller. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about the Iowa special teams. Now, to start off, the Iowa Hawkeyes lost a key man in Andy Burdell returning punts from last year. And what are your thoughts on Mark Spivey stepping up and taking his place?
I mean, me personally, I think it's a terrible idea. Just because, I mean, seriously, because Amari Spivey is so valuable in the backfield. We have him as the right corner, and we have, right now, we don't know who's going to be our left corner right now. We have a bunch of relatively unknowns filling in with Sean Prater serving as a DUI against Northern Iowa. And, we have Bernstein out, and that's a huge loss for them in the other corner position. And Amari Spivey, last year he had such a huge season. I don't know why you want to risk that. Potentially having another huge season this year. I think personally Colin Sandeman could be a great acquisition there, or possibly Keenan Davis, maybe Jordan Cotton. Maybe somebody who can get some experience instead of that who isn't starting right now. I think that would be a good idea.
I like the idea. I think that he is, we saw it last year, an extremely good athlete. Why wouldn't you want a guy like that returning punts for you? We saw the effect that Brodell had on the Iowa State game, pretty much winning that game, in the fourth quarter with the punt return. He did have that fumble against Northwestern that might have cost him the Northwestern game, but Spivey is someone who can turn a game. And yeah, you're risking injury, but football is a contact game. You're risking injury when you're playing defensive back against some of the best wide receivers in the country. So I don't think you play not to lose by risking injury. I think Kirk's playing to win by putting Spivey back there at least right now, and we'll see how he performs. And if he's not the right fit, I think he'll be moved out. But right now, it looks like he probably is.
And Spivey is going to be teaming up with Paki O'Meara returning kicks. Obviously, last year Joel Hampton had a lot of kick returns, but with his knee injury, he's not going to be seeing any action back there. What do you guys think about them returning kicks?
I mean, I think it's great that Paki O'Meara is going to be returning kicks. Right now, we don't have our running back situation filled out. So essentially, that it doesn't give us a lot of, if Paki does get hurt, that doesn't give us a lot of options at running back. We'll have to rely on somebody, maybe a freshman or two, to fill that void. I mean, right now we're already kind of basing running back on a committee. I'm a little more relaxed to see maybe Paki O'Meara taking the kick returns. Still, but with Spivey, doing it, I just think, personally, I think Spivey's contribution is too much to give up in that situation.
I like the idea of putting Spivey back there for the same reasons I like the punt returns. But the thing that I would like to see is, you mentioned a guy earlier in Keenan Davis who is a very explosive player, and he would be great on punt returns. That's more instinctive, and I think there's more risk there putting a freshman back there and muffing punts and stuff like that. So you want a more experienced, cool-headed guy with that. But as far as kick returns go, he could be someone that could open up the game pretty quickly. I don't know. I mean, Paki's more of a downhill running back. He's more in between the tackles. He's not a Joel Hampton type. He's not going to wow you with his speed and all that. So I don't know if that makes much sense for me personally, but I don't know. What do you think?
You mentioned Keenan Davis. He kind of reminds me a lot of DJK a couple years ago. He was returning kicks, and he was just as explosive. He's a quick guy. He's very versatile. So I wouldn't mind seeing him return some kicks every once in a while. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean,
if he can get out of the doghouse. I don't know. I don't think it's ever been a question of his ability. It's just whether or not Kirk wants to give him more opportunities to play. That's kind of, he's always kind of been not on Kirk's good side for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, DJK is phenomenal. I mean, he's got speed, he's explosive. He has really good vision when he's got the ball in his hand, I think. I mean, DJK, I like him as a wide receiver. I mean, I'd probably even like him even more if he was turning punch kicks.
Definitely. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Kicking game, punting game. Last year, obviously, Daniel Murray had a huge kick against Penn State, and his confidence kind of been building ever since then, and he's been seeing a lot more action. He switched time a lot last year with Trent Mossbrucker. So, kind of splitting time as of right now. What do you guys think? Who would you like to see the majority of the action?
Me, definitely, it's got to be Jalen Murray. I mean, no disrespect to Trent Mossbrucker, but I mean, Jalen Murray, he just had really solid focus against Penn State, and that's a huge game. It was on ESPN, I mean, the Kinnick fans were screaming. It was cold out there. You know, it was literally being iced. So I mean, that game and that kick. I mean, he's got his name in hockey lore forever because of that game.
Definitely.
I mean, I liked Kirk Ferentz' decision to go with the experience there. You know, and kind of turned out, you know, Trent Mossbacher ended up missing 2 PATs against Purdue the next game. So, I mean, Dylan Murray, I think he has experience. He was a walk-on, you know, when he came on here. I think if you're gonna take anybody, I think Dylan Murray.
Yeah, Murray's kind of going to be trading off that kick against Penn State for quite some time. I think Ferentz is kind of waiting for someone to separate themselves last year, just kind of flipping back and forth between those two. Mossbacher didn't make a kick over 40 yards last year. They were solid in the kicking game all the way around, but it wasn't coming from one guy. And I think Ferentz saw with that Penn State game what Murray can do. His poise under pressure and all that is very important in the Big Ten. So it'll be his job for the time being until he does anything to lose it, which I don't foresee happening.
All right, then we got Ryan Donahue, who last year was second team All Big Ten. This year he was named to the Ray Guy watch list for the nation's top punter. What do you guys think about him? I mean, I'd like to see him as I see him as a big part of the team, kind of underrated part of his punting. I mean, last year he averaged 40 punts or 40 yards, average 40 yards per punt. Sorry about that. So, what are your thoughts on him in the punt game?
I mean, yeah, his leg is huge. He can boot it pretty far. I mean, Iowa doesn't have a lot of options as far as punters there. We have a solid one. Iowa has a solid one in Ryan Donahue for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He could end up being one of the best punters in the country, or he could end up shanking a few punts in there. A little inconsistent from that frame. He can boot it 60 yards, and he can also boot it 20 yards into the stands. So hopefully, he gets more consistency this year from that standpoint, and is able to kind of swing some games with his leg.
And real quick, Jay Murphy is going to be out for the year. He was one of Ferentz's favorite guys on kick return coverage and punt coverage. Unfortunately, he's going to be lost for the year. That'll do it for his career, seeing as he was a senior. So that's
big loss for them. That's a kind of an underrated part. Kind of those kamikaze guys that run down there, break up the wedge and all that is very underrated part of their kick coverage, which was really good last year too.
All right, well that's going to do it for this version of Football Forum. This is Scott Miller and Ryan Young. You can catch Daily Iowan TV weekdays at 9:30, and of course you can catch the newspaper version every day. I'm Tony Battaglia. Thanks for checking us out.